Sparrows. When it rains, sparrows have different ways of dealing with rain. When it rains, sparrows will immediately look for shelter, such as under dense leaves, tree branches, or even in the cracks of buildings. Their feathers can become heavy if wet, and this hinders their ability to fly well. Therefore, they tend to hide from the rain until the weather clears up again. However, after the rain stops, the sparrows will become active again. They come out in search of food, especially seeds or insects that appear on the ground after rain. Pipits are very good at exploiting these conditions, where they can find more easily accessible food. When it rains, both bees and sparrows have to adapt to weather changes that affect their activities, although in different ways. Bees. When it rains. Bees are known as worker insects that depend heavily on sunny weather to fly and collect nectar from flowers. When it rains, they stop flying and look for shelter. Usually, bees will take shelter in their nest or in a place protected from rain. Their body feathers, which are usually coated with a layer of wax, can absorb rainwater, so they will avoid harsh weather conditions to stay dry and warm inside the nest. Rain also causes flowers to close or not release nectar, making it more difficult for bees to find food. Therefore, when it rains, the bees will wait until the weather improves and the flowers open again before continuing their work.
When it rains, bees face big challenges because bad weather disrupts their activities. Bees are insects that rely heavily on sunny weather to fly and collect nectar from flowers. When it rains, they cannot fly as usual because of the wet weather and strong winds, which makes it difficult to find food.
Looking for shelter. When it rains, bees will try to find shelter. They will return to the nest or take refuge in a sheltered place, such as under dense leaves, in a tree crevice, or even in the safety of their nest. In the nest, the bees will stay until the rain stops. They keep their body temperature stable so they don't get cold. Don't fly. When it rains. Because bees' wings are very vulnerable to water, rain can make it difficult for them to fly. In addition, the flowers they usually go to in search of nectar are also inactive when it rains, because the flower petals are often closed or do not release nectar. Therefore, during rain, the bees will stop working, not fly, and wait for the weather to return. Waiting for clear weather. After the rain stops and the weather returns to clear, the bees will come out of their shelter and continue their nectar-seeking activities. Flowers that are wet or closed during rain will open again, and bees can continue their work of collecting nectar and pollen. They play an important role in pollination, which is highly dependent on the presence of good weather to work efficiently. Even though rain temporarily inhibits bee activity, they have adaptation mechanisms that allow them to survive and continue their work once the weather improves. The relationship between bees and sparrows can be explained in the context of interconnected ecosystems, even though the two do not interact directly physically. Both play an important role in the pollination process and natural balance. Here are some ways the two are related. Bees. Bees are the primary pollinators for many flowering plants. They fly from flower to collect nectar and pollen, which helps pollinate plants. Plants that are pollinated by bees will produce fruit or seeds, which are a source of food for various animals, including sparrows. Sparrows. Sparrows, on the other hand, usually eat seeds or insects. Grains come from plants that grow and develop thanks to the pollination process carried out by bees and other insects. Thus, sparrows depend on plants that are affected by bee pollination. Sparrows, which eat seeds or insects located around flowering plants, act as consumers in a food chain that starts from plants pollinated by bees. Without the presence of bees to help with pollination, many plants may not be able to thrive, which in turn would impact food availability for sparrows. Interrelationships in the same environment. Both are often in the same environment, such as a park, garden, or meadow. In these places, bees work by pollinating plants, while sparrows can be seen foraging among pollinated plants, picking seeds or eating insects that can also be affected by the flowering plants, supporting each other in survival. The presence of bees supports the sustainability of plants that are part of the sparrow's habitat. Healthy, thriving plants will provide the food, shelter, and habitat that sparrows need. Conversely, the presence of sparrows that feed on seeds and insects helps control insect populations, which can affect the number of plants growing in the area. Overall, although bees and sparrows do not interact directly, they are in a mutually supportive ecosystem relationship, where the presence of bees supports the survival of plants that are a source of food for sparrows, and sparrows play a role in maintaining the balance of the ecosystem in which they live. When it rains, bees face challenges in finding food because weather conditions do not support their flight. Here are some ways bees adapt and find food during the rain. Avoid flying. During heavy rain. In heavy rain, bees will stop flying and look for shelter. Heavy rain can make their wings wet and heavy, making it difficult for them to fly. In addition, the flowers they go to collect nectar will usually close or not produce nectar when it rains. Therefore, they prefer to live in nests or protected places, such as under leaves or in tree crevices. Fly. During light rain or drizzle. If the rain is only drizzle or light rain, bees can still fly even if you are careful. They will look for flowers that remain open even if the weather is slightly wet. Some types of flowers continue to produce nectar even in less than ideal weather conditions. However, their activity will decrease, and they will only fly shorter distances. During rain, bees usually do not fly far from their nests in search of food. They are more likely to look for flowers or plants that are within close proximity and easy to reach on a shorter flight. Overall, even though rain hinders bees' foraging activities, they have a way to survive by utilizing existing supplies in the hive and looking for food when the weather permits again. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you will be entertained by this video, and hopefully it can educate you on how to appreciate nature. Have a good day. See you in the next video. Bye.